Yo, how's it going guys? KPR here bringing you guys another video, and today I'll be ranking all of the team ups in Marvel Rivals. I've been playing this game way too much and I was like, you know what, maybe I should do a bit more content with it like I was with Black Ops 6, doing some tier lists slash rankings, and it was pretty good. Got somewhat positive responses to them, but for the primary weapons, I know I did not get too many what's it called, positive ones. It was like, bro, it's just my rankings, you guys can do your own rankings, up to you guys. My dudes, is just how I feel the weapons are and what weapons are mainly used against me in the game. I've been grinding the comp a lot and I've gotten up to Diamond 2 so far. Hopefully I'm going to be able to hit GM. However, I do want to go up higher than just GM this time, because the max I got to, the screenshot I have at least, is GM 3, but I'm 90% sure I got up to GM 2. I'm surprised there's still not as many as last time. I believe by the time I hit Diamond 3, it was around 92ish to 94% of the people below me or of the server were below that. So this time around it's 99.06% of the people are below that rank. I was like, sheesh, that's insane. But yeah, it just does get annoying doing matches, especially if you're solo queuing. It just becomes a bit more difficult, but it's definitely manageable if you know how to play around your team and you're able to play multiple characters. So you're just going to be able to flex for them and guarantee a few wins, unless they're just, you know, brainless teammates who jump into 1v6s and then they complain about you guys not backing them up, and it's just like, bro, you pushed in there by yourself, that's on you. But anyways, my dudes, enough of that yap. So I will be ranking it from worst to best. If you guys seen the Black Ops 6 ones, you know that's what I do. So I'll be doing the team ups, and for the team ups, I'm not going to go based off how that character is in this season. All I'm looking at right now is the ability, like how useful it actually is in practice in a game. And there not might be many matches where you actually are guaranteed that team up, because some people don't play that certain character or something. And for that reason as well, I will not be mentioning the season bonuses, because those are active regardless of someone going that certain team up. It's kind of dumb because they're like, they didn't have enough data or something along those lines, but it makes some of these characters better than they should be if that team up is going to be, or the, not the team up, the bonus for the character isn't going to be active in a few seasons. With that being said, my dudes, let's get right into it. There are 16 team ups in this game. So starting off with number 16, we have Dimensional Shortcut. In order to form this team up, you'll require Magic, Black Panther, or Psylocke. The anchor being Magic. This will basically give you a little recall like Tracer, but you won't have those benefits of going back to full health. Instead, you will merely gain 50 health, and, or not even health, it's shield, but they say bonus health, so that's why I'm getting confused. But anyways, yeah, all you get is 50 shield for that, and that diminishes within seconds. I'm talking like 2 seconds within that time span. If you don't make a move to dip on out of there, this ability is just complete dog water. I sometimes forget I have this when I'm playing Psylocke and there's a Magic on her team. I'm just like, oh shoot, I really forgot about that ability. Not because I get murked or something like that, I just forget it. It doesn't seem too useful. It is a get out of jail free card, but it doesn't really work too well if you're in the higher lobbies, dog. They're going to be tracking you. They want you dead in those higher lobbies, dog. So yeah, it's just not that useful, especially if you're going to be low on health already. All you're going to get is 50 bonus health with that, dog. You're not going to be surviving at all. Yeah, so also, I just saw right now, it is not 50 bonus health. You get merely 33 more. That is insanely useless, especially if it's just going to be bonus health and it's diminishing insanely fast. Just not a good team up at all. Isn't a useful ability, and you're probably going to be murked in almost every situation that you use it in. So I just think this is a low D tier ability. I'm debating it, putting it F, just because how insanely useless it is. Moving on to number 15, we have Lunar Force. This team up requires Cloak and Dagger and Moon Knight. Cloak and Dagger are the anchor, so Moon Knight is the one that gets the ability, and it's insanely useless as well. All it does is make a bubble around you and you will be invisible for a short duration. Shooting won't take you out of it, but if you're shot at, you will be exposed for a second and you will go back to being invisible again. However, it is not that useful. Like, it doesn't add anything more to Moon Knight's kit. He is insanely strong and useful right now, so it's like, why even use this ability? Like, I get it's more to like flank or just be annoying in the back line, but if you're already being annoying in the back line, either someone's gonna dive you and that ability is going to be useless. And I mainly play melee characters, so each time I see a Moon Knight pop that out, I'm just like, bro, I am up close to you and mailing you. You are exposed to me this entire time. So I'm just like, yo, it's just not useful. It's not practical. I see what they were trying to go here, but it's just not worth using. And I've seen so many people get murked while using the ability just because they'll go Iron Man or the Punisher. So they're just going to be spamming at you regardless of you going invisible or not. And this does have a bit more utility than that dimensional shortcut, but it's still just not practical in a bunch of comp matches in my opinion. So it's going to be another D tier team up ability. Moving on to number 14, we have Symbiote Bond. You will require Venom, Penny, or Spider-Man, the anchor being Venom. And just like the last team up ability, this one is just not too useful for their kit, but I do see that it has a bit more potential than the last two team up abilities. It's just that it does damage every few ticks, so once you damage them the first time, even though on your end, or it's just visible on everyone's end that you're of course right on them with the ability, you won't be doing damage the entire time. So it's just not useful. The only use for it is that you are CC immune, so Doctor Strange, I don't think Groot's ult can get you either. But it's just not useful because a good, well, at least for Spider-Man, a good Spider-Man is rarely going to be CC'd at all. And I know there really aren't too many good Spider-Mans right now, but either ways, he is just insanely evasive, so you shouldn't be getting CC'd at all. And Penny, if she gets CC'd, she won't die. It's like, there's no point of having it. And if they try to go up to you and you already have mine set up, they're gone. They're not going to do anything to you. So yeah, this ability, like the other one, is not too practical, but I do see more potential in this. It could save you from time to time, unlike the other ones. I just feel like they missed the mark on this one. Like, it looks cool and all, but using it against the enemy or to save yourself from certain things, you'll just end up dying or not even needing it at all. So I think this is just a low C tier team up ability. There is potential to it, but not too much. Now moving on to number 13, we have Atlas Bond. This team up will require Iron Fist and Luna Snow, the anchor being Iron Fist. So as Luna Snow, you get an ability that not only knocks back the enemies, but also heals allies around you. This sounds good on paper. When you read it, you're like, oh crap, why aren't more people taking this team up ability? And then you use it or get to try it out, and you're just like, oh, now I see why no one uses this. The ability itself isn't too bad, but the knockback / damage for it isn't too high, and the healing as well is not the greatest. You'll probably give them around 50 to 75 health, which actually doesn't sound too bad now I think about it, but you're not going to be getting this ability too fast at all. It's on a 20-second cooldown, and the knockback for it is insanely little. I honestly thought it was going to be enough for you to be able to escape a bit and they might be CC'd, but it doesn't really seem like it's the case. But the healing on it is alright. And if you put your, I forgot what her LB is called, but her guard, her little ice guard, you're going to heal them for way more, and it's actually useful at that point. So yeah, they're healing good. The knockback on it, not the best, so it's not really going to be used for that. And if you try to use it for that, like it says, you're not going to be able to escape. So hopefully you're going to be able to land your shots on them. So there's not really anything else to say about it. Luna Snow is pretty good. So I think this team up ability is just either a C or a high C tier ability, but it's not like one that you should be going after, because it's not going to improve a lot on her kit like some of these other team up abilities. They just get insane. Moving on to number 12, we have Fantastic Four, and by the name, of course, you should be able to guess it. This will require Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, the anchor being Invisible Woman. And this gives the ability to Mr. Fantastic, and it lets you get 100 bonus health / shield when you are damaged. If you are not damaged, this ability will not proc at all, so keep that in mind. And that's why also the first two abilities are kind of dog water, because you need to be damaged in order to actually get shields. So it's just not good, man. The ability is also on a 20-second cooldown. It's a bit better than Psylocke and Black Panther, especially because that one only gives you 33 shield compared to 100, and it's pretty fast how you get it, but it does diminish pretty quickly as well. It lasts around 4 seconds, and usually when there is an Invisible Woman on my team and I'm going Mr. Fantastic, I will try to use this ability when I have my I forgot what his Art B is called, but the one where you're able to reflect back damage and you're just invincible, my fault, and you're just gonna be getting a bit more bonus health. And if you have your thing built up already and you're gonna be able to inflate by the next hit, it makes them even better. It just makes them more tankier, and that's what I try to do with them. So it's not a horrible team up ability. It's definitely better than the other ones, but it's just a bit above average. Because if it had a bit of a shorter cooldown, like let's say it was around 15 seconds or so, it would probably be a decent B tier. But right now how it is, that ability is a high C tier, almost breaks it. But if it gave, like, it has to do one of two things in order for it to break through that high C tier category. It needs to either give more shields, or you need to shorten the cooldown on it. And I feel like if they do either one of those, it might make Mr. Fantastic even more annoying to deal with. So it just makes sense that they have it on a decently long cooldown, and he diminishes the shield insanely fast. I also don't know if pulling yourself into someone will stop that from diminishing, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I don't notice that 100 bonus health after the 4 seconds are up, so it's still decently useful if you have a Invisible Woman on your team, and you're most likely going to see her because her ult is insanely good, and she's a new character, so a bunch of people are going to want to try her out regardless of them never playing her. They're just going to be like, yo, let me see how she plays, even if it's a comp match. And you're going to be able to try out that team up as well for yourself, see whether you like it, or if you don't like it, you can just switch off or go someone else. There's not really anything else to say about this ability. All it does is grant them extra shield, and it's useful. You're going to be more tanky, and especially when you're in those situations where your support is dead, so you're going to have to try to survive a bit. I would suggest building up your elasticity up a bit, and once you're about to be at full, use your invincibility / reflect, so you're going to be able to get 100 bonus health from it, and you're going to be able to inflate to tank all the damage until your team comes to point. At least that's how I use it in order to get some utility out of it. That's why I'm just ranking it a bit above average. It's definitely not a B tier ability though. Moving on to number 11, we have Fastball Special. This will require Hulk and Wolverine, the anchor being Hulk. The ability is given to Wolverine, but both of you need to confirm that you want to use this ability, because the Hulk basically gets the ability to throw the Wolverine decently far, and it grants the same bonus that his lunge, so you're going to have faster attack speed and you will be able to stun the person that you grab. But just remember, the reason why I'm putting this at a low B tier is because you need to have a confident Hulk to actually chuck you. And if he chucks you into a 1v6 like he is purposely, or they're purposely throwing, it's not going to be a fun time for you. And if they're not doing it on purpose and they're accidentally just chucking you in there just randomly, or they don't even know that it somewhat has a charge time, you're not really going to be thrown far and you're not going to be able to do much with that ability. So that's the only reason it's at low B tier. And even then, when I see Wolverines and Hulks, I don't see them using the ability much, especially when, you know, that's pretty useful, just how fast you're able to hit afterwards. I'm assuming that you're going to be able to combo with your LB. I haven't really been able to test this out, because when there's a Hulk on my team, I usually have to play tank or healer. There's not many times where I'm able to go another DPS when my Hulk is there. And when I do get the chance, I have to play someone I'm actually good at, because I know how to play Wolverine, but not at a diamond level at all. Also, I forgot to mention that we're now at the B tier section, so anything right here, this ability, and anything above it will be B tier or higher. And this one, like I mentioned already, low B tier, so it's not a bad ability whatsoever, but it does require your Hulk to be good. And if you're the Hulk chucking the Wolverine, then hopefully your Wolverine's able to actually put in some work with that ability. Moving on to number 10, we have Allied Agents. This one will require Hawkeye and Black Widow. The anchor being Hawkeye, so the ability is given to Black Widow, and this essentially gives you Hawkeye's ult for an ability, but there is kind of a huge change to it. You won't be able to headshot the silhouettes at all, but you can headshot the actual person. But if they stand still, you won't be able to headshot them. I was testing that out in the practice range with my friend, and I saw that if you stand still while she's using that ability, you're not going to be able to headshot them either. And for Black Widow, you will need at least 3 shots to the body to actually murk them. Granted, if you're in a team fight, you probably won't need all the 3 shots. Maybe you'll even just need 1. And it's just a pretty good ability, team up ability to have, but it is on a decently long cooldown. If it wasn't, that just would be insane. So this team up ability is definitely useful and just helps out her kit way more. This is definitely a solid B tier, and it would be a bit higher, but the 30-second cooldown is really what brings it down. Moving on to number 9, we have Planet X Pals. This one you'll require Groot, Jeff, or Rocket Raccoon, the anchor being Groot. The ability is given to Jeff and Rocket, and it basically lets you mount on top of the Groot, and you'll get a bit of a damage reduction. This is, well, not only fun to use, but you can keep up your Groot alive most team fights. The only time you'll really get murked is if there's just too many people targeting him, too many DPSs, and if you're killed first, they're of course going to follow soon after, unless somehow they're just unstoppable and they're a pretty clutch group. Also forgot to mention that this ability has no cooldown, so you're going to be able to get off of the Groot at any time. They're going to be able to get back onto him. I honestly don't know if this messes with the hitboxes, so knowing this game and how not so good their servers are, it could probably make it so both hitboxes are active at once, like wherever you're supposed to land, and the one on top of Groot, it could make it active. So I wouldn't suggest spamming it. I have seen people spam it at the beginning, but that's only to mess around. But usually when I see a Rocket and a Groot together, they're going to be insanely difficult to murk unless you're just a high DPS in general. But other than that, it's going to be pretty annoying to try to get the rocket off of him, and he's going to be able to heal multiple people. A bit with Jeff. Sometimes with Jeff's healings, it could get a bit weird with it because it doesn't go through multiple people every time, at least from what I've experienced. His RB will most likely be hitting the group 90% of the time, but if you aim it a bit higher, let's say a bit above the center level, you should be hitting the bubbles outside of his hitboxes. Also, the damage reduction is 35%, so it's not a bad amount, but it's not too much either. So up to you guys whether you want to be spamming this ability or not. I usually don't see players do that, and if you're Jeff, you could use the bubble as well to speed up the Groot if you want him to be more aggressive, or if he just needs heals in general, you could literally pop all of them out and he'll probably be at full health. So this ability for me is another solid B tier. It does add a bit to their utility, but it helps out Groot way more and lets him have a more aggressive play style. Moving on to number 8, we have Eus Alumnus. This team up requires Squirrel Girl and Spider-Man, the anchor being Spider-Man. So Squirrel Girl gets the ability, and this lets you have a little web ball that you toss at the enemies and it'll stun them just like Spider-Man's ult does. And this is a much better stun than her regular one that she gets. Not only does it stun multiple people in that radius, but it's also a much harder stun. Because I wouldn't call it is a stun, the other one, her regular acorn, but it merely roots them. They're able to shoot still. They're not really able to use any of their abilities, but they're going to be able to murk you if they're, let's say, going Punisher, they just shotgun you in the face. You're not going to be able to do much about that. But with the team up ability, it webs them up, so they're not even able to fight back. Granted, it does last less than 2 seconds, I would say, but it's still useful nonetheless. You might be wondering if you're able to use I forgot whether it was a third ability or not, but the one that basically lets 2 abilities go off cooldown, you're going to be able to use them simultaneously. It does not. This works differently, so you're not going to be able to use it in order to get 2 of those back to back. So this ability is pretty solid. I would say it's a good high B tier. Not only does it give her another stun, but it's also a much harder stun where they can't even fight back as well. Moving on to number 7, we have Guardian Revival. This requires Adam Warlock, Star-Lord, or Mantis, the anchor being Adam Warlock. This is just a useful ability because you also get Adam Warlock's passive, and in case you guys don't know, essentially he becomes a ghost form and then he'll cocoon himself and be rezzed once more. So this passive is given to Mantis and Star-Lord. There is a 2-minute cooldown for it, however, you're probably going to be in a bunch of team fights and won't really feel like 2 minutes, thankfully. I don't believe any of your cooldowns are refreshed when you are murked, but due to the duration it might take you to actually be fully res, your abilities will most likely be off cooldown. And it's just a better version of Adam Warlock's ult, because let's be honest, that ult is kind of dog water. It's a worse version of Mercy's old res. I'm pretty sure they did that on purpose just so they wouldn't really catch much flack, but it's not like Overwatch created that whole thing. I don't even know. I don't know why they wouldn't do it. It's just horrible. They should buff them some sort of way where they get some sort of immunity from damage for a few seconds, or everyone is soul bonded in order to take reduced damage. But like I said already, this is just based off of the team up ability. I know Adam Warlock is on the best spot, however this team up ability is just so useful just because how good Mantis and Star-Lord can be when played at a high level. And I would use it because I don't know why sometimes we get Adam Warlocks and I would just be rezzed once more. I would try to go somewhere safe so I'm able to ult from behind and just catch him off guard. It is insanely fun when that ability is active, just because you could be a bit more aggressive. While it doesn't move fast when you're in that form, but it's still insanely useful nonetheless, because some of the characters that they might be running don't have much mobility, so they won't even be able to go to the higher ground without extra help. So due to it being so useful as a team up ability, I've decided to put this at a high B tier. Moving on to number 6, we have Voltaic Union. This team up will require Thor, Storm, and Captain America, the anchor being Thor. So Captain America and Storm get the ability, but they are different. For Captain America, you essentially fuse your shield with electricity, and you're going to be given the ability to throw your shield without needing to hit the enemy first, and it'll also bounce off other enemies. The duration for it is around 6 seconds, and the cooldown is 20 seconds. Not too bad, especially because usually you have to get up in their face in order to actually throw your shield as Captain America. For Storm, the team up ability is called Chain Lightning, and you guys can guess what it does. Essentially, you throw out lightning and it'll chain around the enemies. I honestly don't know how many people it chains to, but the max I've seen so far are 2. I've also tested this when there's a Thor on my team and I go Storm. This does decent damage when you don't have your boost up, but when you do, it does a good amount, because not only are they going to be chained, but they will also be lightning strike, taking even more damage. It's not too bad on Storm, but I think the one who gets the bigger benefit for their kit is for sure Captain America. I would say Storms, they could have done a bit more with it. When I saw that it said lightning barrage, I'm like, bro, it just chains to one another. I thought it was gonna be like Storm throwing a bunch of them and infuse a bit of damage, but if you just do it up into their face, it'll do way more. But nah, it was just chaining the lightning. I did assume that, but since there sometimes weren't enemies close to each other, I was like, bro, why is it not chaining? So I don't know what the radius is on it. It might be a bit too small, and that's why I don't notice it a lot in games, how many people could chain to. Regardless of that fact though, I still think this is a pretty good ability for both of them. It does improve their kit, not too much for Storm, but a lot for Captain America. If you guys ever try to play him, you'll know that he was, well, he's still a pretty horrible state right now, but this improves his kit way more. Now remember my dudes, I am ranking solely the team up ability, not really taking too much into account how the state of the character is or how strong they are. So with that being said, this would be a high B tier in my opinion. It buffs Captain America up a lot, it makes him more useful, and for Storm, she can literally just use her damage buff ability and make the chain lightning do even more damage. They just overtuned her this patch. Now my dudes, we are finally into the A tier section. That was the last high B tier for the team up abilities. So anything from here on out will be A tier or higher. Now moving on to number 5, we have Chilling Charisma. This team up will require Luna Snow, Jeff, or Namor. The anchor being Luna Snow. Just like the last pair, Jeff and Namor have different abilities. For example, Namor gets another tentacle squid monster or octopus, don't know what it is, but anyways, he gets an ice one, and if you're shot by it, it'll slow you down. That is insanely annoying, and it makes Namor a more difficult threat to deal with, because a good one will be in the back line making sure the support is all right. And if you're trying to dive them and you're slowed down by that ice squid, you are going to be extremely annoyed and most likely killed by it. Thankfully though, he can only have 2 squids out at a time, but either ways, it still gives him another one and he'll most likely have 2 up at the same time. Now, for Jeff, he essentially eats a fish infused with Luna Snow's abilities, so now his primary fire will also be infused with the snow ability, and you will be slowed down for a short duration that he shoots you for. I can't tell whether the blast radius is increased or not, but the damage sure is, because you're going to be able to murk them much faster with the Luna Snow team up ability than you are just with your regular primary fire. So it's just a pretty good buff to both of them, an insane buff for Namor because he's going to be able to help you out if you're support, But for Jeff, it does help him out a bit for the DPS section, but Namor is definitely the one who benefits the most from using this ability. Thankfully, they both have that slow though, so they're going to be helping out their team regardless of who gets the bigger buff. Both of them are on 30-second cooldowns. For Jeff, that's kind of bad, but for Namor, since he's going to be able to have 2 squids out at a time regardless, it's still pretty useful, and I believe they last around 10 seconds, 10 to 15 for his normal squids, so he'll still be able to pull out an ice squid whenever one of his other squids die. Now, I don't know where to really put this in the A tier category. I'm thinking low A tier to regular A tier, because the other abilities after this are just completely insane and give them way more utility. So let me know down in the comments. Moving on to number 4, we have Metallic Chaos. This team up will require Scarlet Witch and Magneto. Scarlet Witch is the anchor for this. This essentially gives Magneto the ability to use his great sword at a long distance because it's infused with chaos energy. The energy slashes it sends out also have splash damage, so it's insanely useful because you can 3-hit squishies and you'll be damaging those around them, and it does pretty good splash damage as well. This makes Magneto go from a 4-hit character to a 3-hit character. This may not seem like a huge buff, but when you're actually in a team fight, you'll notice that you'll be 3-hitting them way more often than you'll be 4-hitting them with the regular primary. It just makes him even better than he is right now. Like, this team up is insanely useful and adds a lot to his utility kit. It is on a decently long cooldown, but it is worth it because you will be able to have it up for almost 10 seconds. I believe it's 8 or 9 seconds that you can have the greatsword out for, but either ways you can put in some good work with it. You can probably wipe out half the team by yourself with that team up ability. So yeah, it just makes him much more insane, gets a huge buff from it, unlike some of the low tier abilities where it's like, bro, what's the point of even having this? Like this one, nah bro, you'll be murking targets like nothing. If they're not focusing you and they just let you go on a rampage, you're just gonna be having a good time using this ability. There's not really anything much else to say about this ability. It's pretty good, so it's a solid A tier for sure. Moving on to number 3, we have Ammo Overload. This team up will need Rocket, the Punisher, or Winter Soldier, the anchor being Rocket. This time around though, the anchor is the one who gets the ability, but the passives for it are Winter Soldier and the Punisher get unlimited ammo along with increased fire rate. So you can just imagine the DPS output those two will be carrying out with this team up ability. Now, the only problem I have with it is that the Rocket somewhat has to be throwing them out good, but either ways, if the Rocket is being aggressive with the Punisher, you are going to be pumping out insane damage because the shotgun is not only bottomless, it'll also be shooting out much faster. I just melt tanks when I go the Punisher. I'm like, yo, that tank is the problem. I need to focus him. I'm gonna go the Punisher, and hopefully one of you guys goes Rocket. And when they do, I just melt that tank, and that tank is just not having a good time anymore. This is insanely useful for Winter Soldier as well. However, I'm not usually the one that plays him. It's usually my friend, and he seems to pop off most of the time when I place it well. But the Punisher is still the one who benefits from it the most, especially when tanks are being the problem. He is just a huge tank melter, and if it's a Groot, Winter Soldier does do a good amount of damage, but the Punisher destroys the walls much faster than he can. So I believe that this ability definitely deserves to be in the A+ tier category. Moving on to number 2, we have Ragnarok Rebirth. This team up will require Hela, Loki, and Thor, the anchor being Hela. This isn't really an ability for them, but it's more of a passive for Loki and Thor. Essentially, when Hela gets a final blow on an enemy, they will either get shield, or if one of them is dead, they shall be revived. Now, you can see why this ability is insanely good. This will either res your support or your tank. Honestly, don't know if there's a cooldown for this, but either ways, just hearing that on paper is extremely good, and they did execute it the same way as well. I just don't know if you're gonna be able to res multiple times. You are also basically res at full health, and even then, if Hela gets another kill, you get 50 bonus shield. So it's just insanely useful. Now, the only problem with this ability though is that Hela has to be the one to get that final blow. So if she's not that good, or people keep stealing her kills, you're not really going to notice her passive. But I haven't really seen too bad of a Hela, and I've seen a bunch of reses by her, and I just get annoyed because I'm like, bro, didn't we just murk this dude? And I'm like, oh damn it, they got a Hela. So it just becomes an insane match with her in there, and she has her team up active. So I believe she definitely deserves the number 2 spot on the list. It's just a pretty good ability, and it almost breaks into the S tier category in my opinion, but right now I would say it's a really high A tier. Now my dudes, hopefully none of you are surprised by the number 1 spot. I'm sure a bunch of you have guessed it from the start, but at the number 1 spot we have Gamma Charge. This team up will require Hulk, Iron Man, or Doctor Strange. The anchor being the Hulk. This gives both of them different abilities, just like some of the other ones. For Doctor Strange, this changes up his Maelstrom ability to Gamma Maelstrom. This essentially lets him build up all the way to 100 max. In case you guys don't know, you have to build up charge in order for it to do more damage. And regularly, if you build up all that damage, you're going to anti yourself, so you're not going to be able to get healed by any of your support. But with Gamma Charge, not only does it do more damage, but you will also not get that anti effect. It makes that ability even better. It also increases the radius of it by 2 meters. Personally, I haven't really played Strange much, but whenever there's a Hulk and there's a Strange as well, they are doing insane amount of damage because of the team up ability. I was like, bro, I almost got insta killed when he comboed me with it. It was truly insane. This makes Doctor Strange's ability so much better. For Iron Man, this changes his overdrive into Gamma Overdrive, essentially infusing his abilities with Gamma Charge. Now, I'm sure if you've played for more than 3 hours, you will know which ability is buffed the most. His Unibeam with Hulk's team up makes it do insane amount of damage. I didn't know this, but my friend told me it does 220 damage per second. Dog, you can melt almost every tank within 4 seconds. That is truly insane. And you know how long this lasts? This lasts around 10 seconds. My brother in Christ, that is way too much. Why even have it that high of a time? Like, make it only 6. Like, I would say a good number would be 4 to 6 seconds, because 10 seconds is just overkill. Iron Man's just gonna wipe out your whole team by himself with those abilities. Also, his Unibeam has a 25 meter range, so it's like, bro, he can murk you in mid ranges insanely fast. And if he gets up to your face, it's not like you can do much. Maybe the Punisher can shotgun him, but if he's going up against a Punisher, he'll most likely not go up to his face. I have to go Punisher a lot if I see an Iron Man out on the field. Maybe if they're not that good, I can keep going magic and hopefully get him mid-air with the nearly insta-kill combo. But other than that, if they are decently well with them, you're gonna need a Punisher, just a hit scan in general to deal with them. And even then, you might need the infinite ammo due to the insane amount of damage he does to you. You might not be able to murk him. If you miss one shot or not get a crit, you're screwed. You're not gonna be able to kill him with that Hulk team up. It is on a 20-second cooldown, but I don't think that's enough. Dog, this should be the one that should be 30 seconds. Dimensional shortcut should be the one that's 20 seconds, not this one. It's just insane. So that's why it just deserves an S tier. It buffs both of those characters by an insane amount. Just adds so much utility to their kit that they didn't even need. They already good characters that just get another uber buff with this. So hopefully no one really argues with me there that Gamma Charge is just the best team up ability in the game. Well, my dudes, that was my ranking / tier list for all the team up abilities in Marvel Rivals. Let me know down in the comments if you guys think the list should have been different or how you guys would have rearranged it. Sorry that the video took me so long to make, because it really took me a while to record and also put these rankings. I was like, alright, let me see how this ability actually works in game, and I was like, it's not that good and stuff like that, or it would pleasantly surprise me. I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty good. But yeah, my dudes, I've also been grinding still in the background. I finally got up to Diamond 1. I'm almost there to GM again, but dog, there is like no one up here. It takes me a good amount of time, but honestly not really anything compared to Overwatch times where it's like, all right, you're at this, you're at a decent high masters, here are your 5 to 7 minute queue times. Nah, and this one is like, all right, a high one is considered like a minute. So it's nothing comparable to that. But hopefully the matches are going much better for you guys. Let me know what rank you guys are in the comments and how the matches are. I don't know if I will be making another tier list though for this game, because there's already a bunch of people doing that are better at explaining things than I am. But I'll let you guys know later on. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And if you guys are enjoying the content, please subscribe. With that being said, have a good day and stay safe. Later.